she would make more money on one deal than I would make on a whole remodel. A whole remodel, or even sometimes a home built, a whole full house. And so I was like, this is a no-brainer.
Hey guys, welcome back to Driven Channel. I'm here with a very special guest, Austin Hancock. Hey, Austin, first thing, man, we got to know each other like pretty recently. We click kind of like when I click with Wes Watson. You know, you came here to visit me, and I want to talk about what you do, Austin. You have your personal brand that has helped you a lot with your business, and I know that you invest in real estate. And now you're teaching people how to do that. So can you start just by telling people, like, for people that don't know you yet, like, who is Austin? Where did you start? And how did you create that business that's making you a lot of money right now? And where did you decide to start? Like, hey, you know what? I want to start teaching people how to do it because it's so easy for people to also do it. So who is Austin? And then thank you for being here, Austin.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Yeah, so my name's Austin Hancock, and I'm from Oklahoma. One of the flyover states out here in LA, hanging out with Albert. So my story probably starts right when I graduated high school. I mean, when I was graduating high school, I was 17 years old, and I had 2 felonies and 2 misdemeanors pending. I'd wanted to join the military for a long time, but that was going to wreck my chances of doing so. And so that was in 2006. And I ended up getting a good recruiter that helped me out through that. He got together with my attorney and got me clear. And as long as I ended up getting out of the Marine Corps with an honorable discharge, then those felonies were expunged.
Yeah.
And so I joined the Marine Corps in 2006 and spent 4 years in the Marine Corps Infantry. Got out in 2010. And prior to that, all through high school, I worked construction. My family has a construction company. I grew up running equipment, doing everything. I've trimmed houses, framed, concrete work especially. And so that's all I knew what to do. That's all I knew how to do. And so I got out of the Marine Corps and went right back to what I knew, which is construction.
So when you got those felonies, did you do any time or how was
No,
that?
so I never did any time. I was going to do juvenile time because I was going to be tried as a youthful offender since I was still 17 when I committed the crimes. And so it was either that or join the military. Oddly, I had planned on joining the military prior, but this was going to wreck my chances. Call it fate, call it the universe, call it God, whatever. But I got a recruiter that would also get with my judge at the time. Not my judge, my attorney. And so he went to court and told them what he was going to do. He pushed it instead of just throwing his hands up and saying, "No, we'll just get somebody else to sign up." And that's.
Yeah. So when you got out of the Marine Corps, you started right away getting into real estate. Is that what you did?
I went back. I went back working for my family. I went back working for my dad. So I started welding for him. I was running skid steer. I was doing dirt work, pretty much anything. I was doing anything. And I was just extremely disgruntled. I actually went down a path of, I was kind of an adrenaline junkie after the Marine Corps. I was in Iraq from 2007 to 2008. And I got out, and I struggled with being so, for lack of a better word, so bored and finding just some basic job compared to what I was doing in the Marines. And so I spent that energy in the wrong directions, I've still drank a lot excessively from the Marine Corps, and I carried that out when I got out. And then I was pretty destructive behavior from there. The charges I had were for fighting in the first place. And so I continued to kind of rebuild those problems while doing it because I was extremely disgruntled with where I was in life afterwards. I didn't know where to spend that energy. I even signed up for a rodeo school and ended up riding bulls for a weekend. So I've done a little bit of it all. When it comes to that.
You still drink or not anymore?
I drink occasionally now, but I know that you recently had talked about, you kind of going sober, and I think it's huge. You can tell a difference, a massive difference in not drinking. But I struggle with that I mean, I don't struggle with, like, I'm an alcoholic, but I struggle with
Yeah.
the fact that I enjoy drinking.
Why
Right.
I enjoy drinking.
Right.
It's not like I said I'm gonna quit forever.
Right.
I like to take like 3 cleanses a year
Yeah.
where I go at least 30 days.
It's undeniable, the clarity, though.
Yeah.
Like, it's just
Yeah.
undeniable. We can lie to ourselves
It's just
all day
like
long.
you're more productive. You're more there for your kids. You're a better husband. You're a better son. You're a better father, leader for your companies, and you're sharper. You wake up clear. You sleep better. Like everything is just
Absolutely.
better. Now,
Absolutely.
I don't think sex is better, but that's a different topic. But,
Yeah.
But you also seem like you work out a lot. Is that kind of what keeps your head?
Yeah, it
level?
gets that energy out, right? Like,
Yeah.
it gets that pent up energy, just that, and I used to work out just to get big. My goal after I graduated high school at like 145 pounds. And so I was a small guy. Yeah, her facial expression. Yeah, so I graduated at like 145, joined the Marine Corps. That's what I come out of boot camp
She
with,
likes
soaking
buff
wet.
guys. I
Well,
That's my weight.
and so my objective was just to gain weight, right? Like, I tried to pack on as much muscle as possible
Yeah.
for the longest time. And so, yeah, I've lifted weights since I was 17 years old.
How much do you weigh now?
I weigh like 195.
195.
Yeah, yeah.
So when did you start investing in real estate? Because we were talking about some
Yeah.
of the deals over there in Oklahoma, and my eyes just opened because it seems so easy to buy properties over there, and then the ROI is big.
Right.
Maybe it's not like California where you buy a property and they go up in price so fast, but over here it's kind of hard to cash flow right now with the way the market has changed. In Oklahoma, you could get a deal. We're talking about a deal like 100,000. You could buy a single family, about 1,000 square feet, and you could profit net maybe like $700 a month very easily. And you could put all sorts of different down payments depending on how you're gonna buy. But how easy is it? And can you just break it down? Like, let's say in Oklahoma, if average Joe wants to go there and buy a property, and you just have maybe 20 grand or 30 grand saved up,
Yeah.
how easy or complicated is it to go buy a property over there if you can't afford here in LA?
It's super easy. So it depend. What you net is going to depend on how much equity you have in it. And so if you put a bunch of money down, then you're going to net more. But realistically, you can be into a deal like 70% loan to value, or and so you put 30% down, or you build that equity into the deal, and you could probably cash flow in between $200, $300, just depending on the interest rates at the time. But it's no different. It's easy to buy those things. You can find them all day long on Realtor.com, Facebook Marketplace, things like that.
But a property for 100K, how much can you collect in rent? Like how many
Oh,
bedrooms?
okay. So on average, yeah. Well, if you look at fair market housing rent for Section 8, Section 8 is going to pay about $1,300 for a 3-bedroom, 1-bath. So when Section 8 analyzes it, they're analyzing it off of the bedrooms. They're not analyzing it off of the square footage. They're not analyzing it if it has a garage. They're not analyzing all these factors. So it's more business savvy to buy a property that just has the bedrooms, that doesn't have all the other stuff and amenities and costs.
Are most of your properties Section 8?
No, they're not. I would say a quarter of my portfolio.
A quarter.
Yeah.
Do you like Section 8 better than regular?
I don't mind it. You just have to understand the business of it, and you have to understand the housing authority and how to work with it.
What about, do you have any tenants that pay you? Do they all pay you checks? Do some
No,
of
I
them
have
pay
a portal.
cash?
So we have an online portal. I
Okay.
require online portal just for my
Okay.
property management. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you have a property management company that handles
I
all
have
that?
in-house property management. We basically handle our own portfolio.
Yeah.
And so we manage our own properties. And there's multiple ways to do it. I tell people if they don't have the ability to do that, or if they have a high-paying day job, then they should probably outsource that to a company.
But if you buy a property for 100K, like 100K is nothing, especially for people here in LA.
Right.
People here in LA, California, like 100K.
We don't get the peaks and valleys of the appreciation as the coasts, right?
Yeah.
Like here, and I should say Arizona included, but
Yeah.
We do get consistency, and
Yeah.
consistency is key. I mean, a lot of times when you're building a portfolio like that.
But people here buy like 100K watches.
Yeah.
So like over there, you could, and then this 100K, is this like a destroyed property in the ghetto? Or is this like
it's a good house.
So this is a
$100,000 house. Like I have a gal that's from LA that works for me, and $100,000 house in Oklahoma is probably close to a $500,000 house here in LA
really?
on the east side. Yeah.
And this house, it's like a fixer upper, or is this
It's a fixer upper. Yeah. But this is
But
this
for
is,
100K, is are you getting a house that's fully remodeled, or you still need to work?
you can
work on
get
it?
a house that's fully remodeled, but you're going to have to look. It depends on the area, right? The area is going to dictate that.
Yeah.
It is very possible.
Because my point is, for 100K, the mortgage payment is not going to be that much.
No,
And-
even
and-
on a commercial loan, it's not bad.
And depending if you put how much down payment, like it's gonna be very little compared to getting $1,300-$1,400 in rents.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a good profit every month.
Absolutely.
If you get it, yeah. So more or less, how many properties have you bought, and then how long have you been doing this? Because it seems like
Yeah.
it's been pretty quick that you've built all these properties that you've been buying. So how has the process been for people that are watching this, and they're probably thinking like, fuck, like I'm spending all this money on watches, purses. I could have bought a house already.
Yeah, buy the assets first, then have the assets pay for your toys. I mean, I have a Lamborghini I was showing you a minute ago, but the houses, my portfolio pays for that. So if I spend the money and I build the portfolio and the portfolio spits out money every month, then that portfolio pays for the toys. And so you scale the portfolio because now you have an asset that's going up in value, assets that go up in
Yeah.
value, and you can write off tax deductions, depreciation, things like
So
that.
you probably don't pay a lot of money in taxes, right?
No, most of the time not. Unless sometimes you got to pay to play. I mean, you got to talk to
Yeah.
your CPA. It depends on what you want to look like on your balance sheet.
So when did you start buying properties?
Yeah. So I'll go back. So my story is when I got out of the Marine Corps, I didn't know what to do. I was extremely disgruntled, and I was in construction. So I went into business in the realm that I grew up in. You know, it's pretty common for most people to go into what they know. And so I started a building company at that point, and I built one house. And in that one house that I built a spec house. So I took the dirt and I put a house on it and sold it. And I sold that house and made like $45,000. And that was more than I was making a year. And so my eyes were opened up to entrepreneurship and actual leverage and working with banks and lending. And so once I realized that, I did another one. And I was still working my day job. I was still working for my dad. So I was still doing construction. I was working hourly. And so I did that. I did another one. And then I got a few customs off of that. So I got a few custom houses. Custom houses are houses that you work one-on-one with clients and you build them from scratch. So we would build full-blown customs, meaning we would take a piece of paper and start drawing out plans and then watch something come to fruition, a client's dream. And so that business started to scale and grow. And at the same time, I was adding horizontal growth to that,
Yeah.
meaning I had other businesses growing with it. So I have a waterproofing business, I have the building company, and I kept growing in the construction world, which is what I knew. And I didn't necessarily love that part of it. It's just what I knew, and I wanted to be successful, and
Yeah.
so I didn't know any other way. I have passions in other things. I have passions in cars. I have passions in a lot of other things, real
Yeah.
estate in general. And so I purchased rentals along the way. You know, everybody tells you to get into real estate, kind of like we've talked about.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did. I bought them. I bought a few here and there, and I didn't give them a lot of attention because I was this custom home builder doing $1 million plus houses for high-end clients in Oklahoma, and a $300 or $400 or $500 a month rent houses were just, I was too good for it. I mean,
Yeah.
probably was ego, right? And just lack of knowledge, really.
So now all you do is just invest in real estate?
That's all
Is that
we
your
do.
main job? You don't have a paying any other job anymore?
Nope, we're full-blown real estate investment firm.
At what point or how long ago was it when you were like, man, you know what? I have all these properties now, and the cash flow is good. Like I think I'm just gonna stick to this. When did you see that turning point? For example, like Bobby Castro. You heard of Bobby Castro?
I have, yeah.
So Bobby Castro right now, he just mainly does real estate investments,
Right.
and he makes so much money from passive income that now he's like, I'm gonna invest in this other business, this. So now he's just like, his main business is
He's
just
an
real
investor,
estate,
yeah.
and that money he just uses it to create more businesses. Did that? At what point did you figure that out? Where you're like, you know what, this is the point. I don't need another job. I'm just going to rely on my passive income, and from here on, I'm going to open more sources, more flows of income. When did that happen?
So that happened probably in 2020. I would say 2020 was the beginning of it, because what happened in the custom home building world and what happened in the building world at that time was lumber prices, material prices, everything skyrocketed. And for a short period of time, as you know, being in real estate on your side, the inventory was unstable, but the demand was super high. And so it ticked up in 2020 and 2021 and then up to 2022. And so when we're building, we have clients. We have a lot of clients at the time. We're building multiple high-end homes, and we couldn't meet their demand. So I had people give me money, wanting to start homes, and then everybody got very hostile with the situation. People were very impatient, as you know, like multiple offers on properties and how much is it going to take and blah blah blah. And so I at that point I realized that I should just go all in on real estate investing, because it's not what I wanted to do in the first place. It's not where my passion lied. And so we had had a little small portfolio, only a couple. And so we took that and we started growing it. My wife actually headed that side of it. I said, go and start buying more real estate and see if we can do a flip or something like that on that side. And I'm going to slowly work my way out of this business we have going in the building side.
Yeah.
And so that was in 21, beginning of 2021. And she would make more money on one deal than I would make on a whole remodel. A whole remodel, or even sometimes a home built, a whole full house. And so I was like, this is a no-brainer. But to answer your question about the portfolio and that, what we did and what we do now is our active income is also our passive income. So they run in line together on a vertical growth, meaning that so we accumulate property and we decide what we do with it. If it meets our criteria, if it meets one of our buy buckets, is what we call it, then we'll put it into one of those. So that means if we buy something, it meets our criteria, and it may go to a rental. It may go to a creative seller finance deal. It may go into a flip. It just depends on, really, there's a couple variables: the market, interest rates, and what the business needs. And so the objective is to completely scale a portfolio. But so to put that in layman's terms, our active income is flipping a property, making 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, sometimes $100,000 on one deal. And then we also need to be accumulating property and grabbing them, because what happens is if you make that much money on all these deals, now you got to offset for taxes, like we talked about a minute ago.
Yeah.
And so we're accumulating those. And the real wealth comes from something we discussed off camera, is from accumulating that portfolio, watching it grow, watching your tenants pay the rents down, or the mortgages down, the loans down, and then refinancing that and using that as a bank. And so that's where real true wealth actually comes in.
How often do you refinance to pull money out?
So it depends on you scale your portfolio, and it depends on the market. Right now, everybody is probably super stoked on the amount of appreciation everyone's had, but if you miss the boat on the interest rates, there's no reason to refinance at 9%.
Yeah.
So it depends on what the rates go to. I'll refinance when interest rates drop, because essentially, like, my portfolio debt per month will be almost the exact same. So my cash flow stays the same, but I go scoop out a couple $100,000 or a couple million.
Yeah. So when you buy, you buy only single family, or you buy multi?
I have a multi, but I don't have a lot of multi. Our main business now is single family, and the reason that is, Albert, is because we like to. You could be so liquid with single family, especially about the pricing that we're talking about. I mean, when the economy goes down, when shit hits the fan, people still have to have somewhere to live.
Yeah.
And so when you're in the affordable housing space in one of the most affordable states in the country, you're really pretty protected.
The cost of living over there is a lot cheaper than here, right?
It's much cheaper.
Yeah. So you driving a Lambo over there is like people are probably like, this fucker, huh?
It gets a lot of attention. Yeah. There's not near as many as there are here. There's actually, funny enough, us being in one of the main oil and gas areas of the United States, there's still a lot of money in Oklahoma. It's underrated. Yeah, I mean, I have a friend that owns a landscaping business, and he has a Bugatti. Shout out to him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do they have anything fun over there in Oklahoma, like clubs or bars?
There's all sorts of fun stuff like that, but it's not constructive fun. But we don't have any oceans, nothing like that.
Yeah.
Because
like Tennessee has that
the music.
That block that's very popular.
Right.
Where
nothing crazy in Oklahoma, to be honest. A lot of times that's what happens. That's what draws the youth into getting in trouble, or at least in my generations, is there's nothing else to do. So what do you end up doing? People get pregnant, people start drinking, people do drugs,
Yeah. So the single family, so you have mostly single family homes.
Yep.
And more or less, like how many have you been able to buy, and more or less how much is it making you right now? What do you say, like monthly income with all
Just on the portfolio?
Yeah.
Yeah. So since we've only really gone heavy on accumulating property at the beginning of 2022, which is about a year ago now, or year and a quarter, we have like 35 units, so 35 single family homes, or 35 units total, and on average we're doing almost $30,000 to $40,000 a month in revenue on those. Of course, we have debt to pay and expenses and stuff like that, but I would say we're slower to accumulate at this moment because just the holding of the property at 9% interest rate doesn't make a lot of sense. So you just have to adapt, based on what's going on. But we just closed on Monday of this week. We closed over like I want to say $40,000 or $150,000 worth of revenue on flips. So, and while I was here flying out to do this podcast, yesterday, today's Thursday, yesterday's Wednesday, we locked up 3 more deals. So We're constantly moving.
So your passive income is like pretty much tax-free money that you get from the rents, right?
Right.
And so is that kind of like your play money to like get the Lambo and other things, travel and that kind of stuff?
Yeah. The objective is to have your passive income grow so much that you can just do exactly like what you said about Bobby Castro.
And then the flip, that's like another form of income that you make.
Yes, correct.
And then I understand that you also have now a coaching business where you make money, but at the same time you're helping people do the same as you're doing now.
Yep, that's exactly right.
Can you talk about your coaching program and how you're helping people do the same, and how easy is it for people to do it? Because money-wise, if you want to buy a house here in LA, Beverly Hills, Hollywood, here in California, it's pretty hard unless you're pretty damn rich. Now, over there in Oklahoma, you could it opens it up for a lot of people because more people have access to that kind of money, and they could invest, get their little home, get another home. Absolutely. Is that where you primarily coach people on how to buy properties in Oklahoma, or does it work also outside of other states?
It works in other states, but my main focus is on affordable housing. So obviously most of the time we're not doing that in places like California, plus the tenant laws and things like that I'll guide people away from. But, Texas, Oklahoma, anywhere the Midwest, the South, a lot of times are great spots to invest. And really what I created the program for is because it's what I wish I had when I started. Yeah. I went from being a builder, but nobody in my family was in real estate investing, right? Nobody had owned real estate. I didn't know anything about the lending side of it. I didn't know, what I tell people is you could be passing 100 deals that you look at. You're like, no deals in the market. Well, you just don't know what you're looking for, and so essentially I created the program to where I can help people like I was, figure out what a deal is, figure out how to acquisition the deal, answer questions immediately, and walk people, hold them through their process. A lot of people have even said, I can't buy any real estate because of X, Y, and Z. They have all these excuses, but the truth is they just lack the education on how to get into it. And, you can listen to all the podcasts, you can read all the books, you can do all that stuff. The YouTube University, which wasn't even out when I got started, but without having somebody to answer those questions when shitty situations come up, it's really hard. Yeah. And that's what creates a lot of fear for people getting into it, is all this procrastination.
Yeah. So when you buy properties in other states also, or is it only in Oklahoma for you right now?
We stay focused in Oklahoma. I don't hold any property in other states. I buy across the whole state though. So we will like flip or wholesale or flip and wholesale mainly in like Tulsa and other spots of Oklahoma.
And you teach people, or you help people on how to get financing over there, and you have all the hookups for all this stuff?
Yep, I do. Part of the program is my lender pack. So I obviously have Oklahoma lenders because that's where I'm at, but I have nationwide lenders as well.
Yeah. So let's say Maria has $10K right now, and she wants to buy a property in Oklahoma. Can she buy a property in Oklahoma? Or what would you tell her if she wants to buy something over there?
So I would ask, the next question would be, have you ever bought any real estate at all? And if some people say yes, then we know that they're lending.
Her answer is no.
So her answer is no. That's fine. So the objective is to, one, invest in yourself to learn how, because that's how you have to figure it out, right? So once we start, there's so many lending opportunities and ways to use that money in there. I'm trying to buy distressed assets. So if I'm buying something, let's just use round numbers. You used $100,000 earlier.
Yeah.
So if my objective is to buy a property for $50,000, we're going to put $20,000 into rehab. And so now we're at $70,000 all in.
Mm-hmm.
That property, we're going to shoot for an appraisal of $100,000 or more. Just for round numbers, we'll say $100,000. So at 70% loan to value, we have built the equity into the asset. The bank doesn't want you to put the 30% down anymore now that you created the equity into the asset.
Yeah.
And so you're into that property for essentially a net zero, which is an infinite return. And people can get into those deals by borrowing money from somebody else, by using hard money lenders, by using some banks, local lenders, small lenders like that will help you, credit unions. But the key is finding the correct deal and understanding what to do with it. And you'll find the money and you'll find the solution for the financial problem. But nobody wants to give you money, no lender, no person, no bank, if you don't have the education.
Mm-hmm. So Maria, if she has those 10K and she learns she gets education, then what is her next step? Does she need to get more money from another source, or what is her minimum that she needs to acquire a property like that?
So since you guys are in the mortgage business, you could easily get a $100,000 property with like 10% down.
Yeah.
So you're talking $10,000 down into a deal if you wanted to buy it direct.
So she could do that already if she wants
Correct.
to.
Absolutely. But I veer people away from that a lot of times because they don't have enough margin for the ups and downs of the market.
Yeah.
And their cash flow is going to be really low because they only have 10% into a deal. So they'll still owe $90,000. But the objective on my program is to teach you how to buy right and to build that margin in there so that you can continue to do that. Because when I started buying, even though I had a construction company, when I bought my very first rental in 2015, I bought them this way because I still spent all my money in my business. As you and I talked off camera a minute ago,
Yeah.
When you're starting a business, a lot of your money is being spent back in the business. And so when I was starting my construction company, I kept throwing that revenue back into it. I mean, I had to live, I had to eat, I'm hiring, I'm marketing, all this stuff, insurance out the wazoo, And so when I bought my first rental, I bought it to fix up and I built the equity into it. But there's loans out there and there's programs out there from lenders that will let you do this, but you have to understand those programs, you have to understand those loans, and you have to understand how to do that.
Yeah. So you have a way of finding deals, right? Like
Yep.
you know how to find deals.
Yep.
Is that something that you teach in your program? Like do you teach
It
people
is.
how to find their deals?
Absolutely. Because one of the biggest problems, you're really only going to have two problems once you get going. You're going to have a money problem or you're going to have a deal problem. It's constantly what we're battling in our own business all the time. Any real estate investors looking for more deals or looking for more money. And so the way we find deals and the way that I tell everybody is to find a deal is anywhere. A deal is a deal is a deal. So I don't care. A lot of people get hung up on, I need to talk to a realtor. Or they get hung up on, I need to only do one specific way to find a deal. Like there's this magic thing. The truth is, any deal, your friends selling a home, make them an offer. The numbers just have to make sense. I only make offers that make sense, and then I only close them if they make sense. So what we teach in the program is you're going to use other people. You're going to leverage other people. You having a real estate brokerage, you have tons of people that work 1099. They're all contractors, and they're out there working and doing this. This is their job. And so I'm going to get connected with savvy real estate investors or real estate agents that work with investors, and those people are going to go out and hunt property down for me. I set my criteria with them, and then they're going to bring me the deal first. And if at first, they're going to be sketched about it, right? Because I've never closed the deal. Where I am now today, they know I'm going to close it, and I get a lot more deals. So my deal flow goes up. It's creating that business relationship.
Yeah.
But I teach my students to go out there and start creating those relationships because that's where money's made. So you need to connect with John, the real estate agent that knows about investment properties. He's going to bring you a deal. Tell him your criteria. Start connecting with lenders. Start networking on Facebook with contractors. Because once you build that wheelhouse and you start building that team, now you're growing.
Yeah. What if somebody wants to buy real estate in Oklahoma, but they don't want to do the work? They're just like, I make a lot of money and I have my business here, and I don't have time to learn.
Right.
I don't want to learn. I just want to. I have like 100K, and I just want to do something with the 100K or 50K or whatever they have. Do you also help people that have the money but they don't have the time?
Yeah. There's typically two ways. One, they can invest with us, and we basically give them a return on their money, so a private money lender. And then the other way is they can come in and just buy these properties turnkey from us. So we'll feed them these properties, or we'll help them find these properties to where they can put the money down, they can start closing them, they can build a portfolio fairly quickly.
Got it.
Yep.
Got it. Awesome. So Austin, if somebody's watching this right here and they want to get more information, they want to learn, they want to get into your coaching program, or maybe they're an investor and they want to send you money and they need your help, where can people find you? What's the easiest way to get a hold of you?
Yeah, the easiest way is, as you see right behind me, is my Instagram, austin.hancock1. Or you can hit me up on my website, which is theaustinhancock.com. That's the simplest way right there.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Austin.
Thank you.
It was a
I
pleasure
really
having you
appreciate
here.
it. Yeah, absolutely.